Yo, it's your boy Jada Blaze in the building. If you've played Call of Duty at all within the last 5 to 6 years, I'm sure you've heard of skill-based matchmaking. And as the name suggests, the matchmaking system tracks and uses a multitude of variables attributed to skill to determine your matchmaking experience. Everything from the way you move, how often you move, how good/bad your aim is, your KD, and even the operator you're using, surprisingly. In very simple terms, the better you do, the harder your lobbies get. This separates the player base into skill brackets, then mostly puts players against others within that skill bracket. This is something that's used to some extent in other games, but Call of Duty fans especially hate this. The majority of the Call of Duty community has been constantly screaming at the powers that be or at Activision to have it removed. It's something that we, the consumers, have complained about for years, but we've mainly been talking to a wall at this point. They've only ever addressed it once over the few years, basically just doubling down and saying it's good for player retention, which most of us aren't buying, especially since player numbers continue to decline. But all that to say, it seems it's something Call of Duty has never been willing to change. That's of course until recently with the projected release of Black Ops 7. Obviously, the success of Battlefield 6 has put some much needed pressure on Call of Duty, and they're pulling out all the stops by removing skill-based matchmaking from the new game's core experience. Now, this is obviously a huge win for Call of Duty fans, but I'm still very apprehensive about the Warzone side of things since they're ran by a different dev team. Now, obviously, you read the title, you might be thinking, what does casual battle royale and casual resurgence have to do with any of this? You might even enjoy these modes a lot, and I don't blame you. The casual modes have been very successful with a flood of players moving to that mode and playing it consistently. I don't mind the success of casuals, but one thing that bothers me a lot is how comfortable some people have gotten with it. There's players who only play casual and then nothing else, and that's fine. I'm not here to tell you what to play, but I do think it's important to see it from a bird's eye view, and when you do, you'll see that casual Warzone modes are really only here to distract us from skill-based matchmaking in Warzone. The player base wants a more organic, untouched matchmaking experience where ping is king. A more casual experience that replicates older Call of Duty titles. That word casual is very important there, as it's definitely been a buzzword in the topic. And as frustrations were growing towards skill-based matchmaking, what do? They drop a mode with AI bots and slap the word casual in front of it. Obviously, the people who identify themselves as casuals, which, by the way, make up a very solid chunk of the Call of Duty community, will gravitate to these modes. This addition of casuals feels like a calculated move by Call of Duty to hopefully distract a chunk of the player base from one of the more glaring problems within the franchise. It feels like we're little kids who keep asking for their favorite toy, but our rich, neglectful parent buys you every other toy that you don't want with BS reasons, just hoping that one day you'll stop asking for that same toy you actually want. But the more we play with the boring toy that we're given, the more the parent can and will use that against us, saying that we obviously enjoy it, when in reality it's just our only option. I mean, think about it. They didn't give a shit when people liked Massive Resurgence, Lockdown, or LTMs that people actually liked, but all of a sudden they care about the success of casuals, the stats, and want to push it hard to the point where it's literally the first set of modes in the list when you're about to play. Right now, casuals feels more like a glorified band-aid put over the ugly situation. But ironically, much like how a band-aid implies the existence of a wound that needs healing, casuals just shows how badly the Call of Duty community doesn't want or even need skill-based matchmaking. We've been complaining for years how we don't want it in the game because it's manipulative and makes damn near every lobby feel really sweaty and extra competitive, even for people of varying skill levels. With the skill brackets it boxes players into, it basically becomes a ranked experience even though it's supposed to be the regular core experience. Once casual modes were introduced, people started migrating to them, and when you ask someone why they've been enjoying the casual mode, they say things like it's less sweaty, it's less stressful, the vibes are more chill when they're playing with their friends, etc, etc. All these reasons/feelings are the same as what we get from the natural matchmaking system we want in Call of Duty. Less sweaty, less stressful, chill vibes for everyone. And that proved true with the overall positive sentiment of the open mosh pit in the Black Ops 7 beta, where it mimicked the classic matchmaking system where skill is minimally considered. Now, before I get into what my ideal matchmaking experience would look like, I want to explain why the current one exists a bit more. The two main reasons this was implemented into the game's blueprint the last handful of years is apparently increasing player retention and protecting the low-skilled player. They want to attract and keep new players and players of low skill levels on the game longer, even if it's for an extra 20 minutes. Every extra minute on the game increases the possibility of someone buying a bundle in the store, which I think we can agree feels like their main focus as of late. The skill bracket brackets SBMM creates drastically decreases the chances of a low-skilled player entering a lobby with higher-skilled players, protecting them from a moment where they get slammed by someone better, also that they can stay on longer. At the surface, I think this makes sense to an extent. A level 1 brand new player should never have to go against a 4-stack of iridescent players, but how long should this protection truly last? What if they become a master prestige but they're still not that great at the game? They have all this time played, but their matchmaking experience has barely changed, and they're still protected from a good amount of the player base. With this system, skill-based matchmaking can basically convince a 40-year-old that they're riding a bike on their own when they still have the training wheels on. The segregation of the player base through these brackets ultimately villainizes the skilled player, because on the off chance that a lesser skilled player runs into one, they've become more likely to accuse them of cheating, since they're so used to their own lobbies where everyone else plays just like them. It also makes playing with friends of varying skill levels less enjoyable, since being better than your friends makes them not want to play with you because they don't want to play in your harder lobbies. But anyway, I've done all this ranting, but what's the solution? Step 1 is obviously remove skill-based matchmaking. This matchmaking system does not belong in a game where a ranked mode literally exists. The whole concept of receiving harder lobbies as you improve and easier lobbies as you get slammed is literally being promoted and demoted in ranked. It doesn't belong in the non-ranked core experience of the game. Step 2, rebrand the casual modes. We can even rename it to something else, because honestly, a casual experience should never be locked to a singular game mode. It should always be the default experience. Maybe it's called training or recruitment or something. I'm not sure. Someone can come up with a better name for it. If you come up with something, put it in the comments. I don't know. But anyway, the mode can stay, but it needs to be treated as the stepping stone mode it was initially meant to be. It can be a place for everyone, but especially newer players to get more comfortable with the map, rotations, gunfights, new loadouts. That's basically the flow of the game. Once players reach a certain threshold, let's say level 55, they will only be able to play the mode a certain amount of times per day. Let's just say that number could be 3. Along with the match cap, all forms of progression are then removed from the mode. That means anything done in a casual game mode will not count towards challenges, and that includes camo challenges as well, and will not give any XP towards leveling up once a player has hit level 55 for the first time. This way, it can actually serve as both a more comfortable sandbox for new or less confident players, and a place to warm up for players who are more experienced or who feel they're gradually getting there. This also won't lead to players segregating themselves by only living in this mode once the level threshold is reached. With the positive reception of Black Ops 7 removing skill-based matchmaking from its experience, the only natural step for Warzone is to adopt the same classic matchmaking system, especially with the pressure that Battlefield's RedSec is applying right now. But, as we've seen in the past, sometimes Call of Duty takes 1 step forward and 2 steps back, especially since there's so many different studios responsible for different parts of the game. But, at the end of the day, we're moving in the right direction, and I just hope we stay on this path. Anyway, thanks for letting me ramble about SBMM and casual modes. I hope this offered some sort of productive thoughts and opinions on the topic, or maybe you learned something if you're not up to speed on Call of Duty. Either way, I appreciate you watching until the end. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, baby girl. You feel me? You feel me?